As the sun was getting low in the sky, old Matthias straightened his back, looked toward his cottage. It was time to go home and end his day of hard work in the fields. As he glanced toward the road, he saw a cloud of dust that gradually took the form of a troop of men riding towards the city. At their head rode the king, leading the lords and knights home after a day of hunting in nearby woods. The fading sun glittered off of the crown that circled the king's head. Suddenly, much to the old man's surprise, the company came to a halt. The king and 3 other men turned their horses toward Matthias, coming to a stop, right in front of the old man, who now knelt, head bowed in front of his ruler. "Arise, old friend," said the king, "and tell me, why did you not rise early enough to finish your work?" Matthias replied, "I did, my gracious and beloved king, but God did not allow me." The king nodded and then asked, "How long has that snowy orchard been blooming on that sage mountain top?" Matthias smiled, "Going on 40 years, my good lord." The king nodded his head as if he understood every word the old man spoke. "Tell me, how many years have the stream been flowing from under the mountain?" "The streams, my lord, have been flowing and flowing for 15 years now." "So far, so good, my friend." The king looked pleased. "Now, one more thing. When the 3 geese come from the east, will you be able to freeze them?" The old peasant looked up at the king and smiled. "They will be well freezed, my king." The king smiled back at the old man, then he undid the golden belt that ringed his own waist and handed it to the Matthias. He thanked him for his words and hoped that God would see fit to bless them both. The king and his 3 counselors turned and rode back to the waiting company, continuing their journey to the palace. Later that evening, the king called the 3 advisors who had witnessed a conversation with Matthias to his chambers. He asked the men to explain the meaning of his questions, and the old man answered. The 3 men thought for a long time, trying to explain the riddles, but none even came close to their true meaning. Finally, the king told them that they had 30 days to figure out the meaning of the conversation. If they failed, he warned he would replace them with new counselors. Day after day, night after night, the 3 men debated the meaning of the words spoken by the king and the peasant. They repeated the words over and over again, trying to find a clue, but to no avail. Finally, they decided that only one person could help them. So, they visited old Matthias. The old man welcomed the king's counselors into his home, but he refused to enlighten them upon the meaning of his conversation with the king. The 3 men pleaded and threatened, but it was useless. He would not be moved. Finally, each man put a bag of 100 gold coins on the table. Matthias smiled, gathered the bags into his arms, and disappeared with them into his back room. He then came back and told the 3 counselors what the conversation was all about. The king asked, with his first question, why I did not marry young and have sons and daughters to work my fields. I replied that I did, but that God had taken them and that all my children had died for me. Next, the king asked how long my hair had turned white. I told him 40 years. The third question was how long had I grieved for my beloved wife, and I answered that I had cried 15 years now, in her remembrance. Matthias stopped and smiled at the looks of profound amazement that had come across the faces of the 3 men. Lastly, the king asked if I would fleece the 3 foolish geese that came from the east. Those geese are the 3 of you, gentlemen, and by taking your gold to explain my conversation with the king, I have fleeced you well indeed. The 3 men left the cottage, poorer in coin, but richer in wisdom for having met the truly wise old Matthias. So, the story of old Matthias and the king teaches us several valuable lessons. Firstly, it highlights the importance of humility and respect towards those who are older and wiser. Despite being a king, the ruler in the story was willing to stop and listen to the words of an old peasant and to treat him with respect and kindness. Secondly, the story emphasizes the importance of wisdom over wealth. The king's counselors were willing to offer large sums of money to gain knowledge, but ultimately, it was the old man's wisdom that proved to be the most valuable treasure. Finally, the story demonstrates the power of wit and cleverness. Matthias was able to outsmart the king's counselors by turning the king's question into riddles and making them pay for the answers. This reminds us that intelligence and resourcefulness can be just as important as strength and wealth navigating the challenges of life. Overall, the story of old Matthias and the king is a powerful reminder of the value of wisdom, humility, and resourcefulness in our lives. May you have a lot of wisdom to teach others and to make this world a better place. This is Inspired Days. Thank you for watching. If you want more life-changing lessons shared through stories, subscribe to this channel. You can also go and watch any of the other videos on this channel. And don't forget, you have the power to change your life.